start. We talked on the phone the other night, and I told you how we have our fun radio show, The Demo That Got the Deal. And let's talk about the fact that there was no demo for Fanny, was there?
No.
Wow.
Do you want to know how that happened?
Absolutely.
Do you have any idea? You've never heard this before?
I heard it from you, but my audience hasn't.
Okay. What happened was we went down to L.A. Hoping to be discovered. Our manager, who was a woman, went down ahead of us, and she couldn't get anything shaking except that everybody could play open night at the Troubadour, which was a Wednesday night. So we signed up for that, and they told us we only had 5 minutes, and they kind of had an attitude. I mean, everybody had an attitude because they never saw women who could play or young girls who could play.
Sure.
And so we played our 5 minutes, and the audience went completely berserk. I mean, they were standing on the tables, like jumping up and down, and I'm not exaggerating, just screaming. And Jean remembers this part. My sister Jean, who played bass, I don't remember this, but she said they came running up to us and said, please, you've got to play more. And Jean looked at them and said, well, you said only 5 minutes, kind of deal. But from that, still a couple of days later, we were staying at the Tropicana Hotel next door, and still a couple of days later, still no bites, and we were packed up and actually ready to leave. We were just about to walk out the door, and we got a phone call from this woman who said, I saw you the other night. I think you're great. I'm the secretary of somebody who works at a record company, and I'd like him to see you. And we said, well, we're leaving now. I mean, it's a little bit late. And she said, well, just hold on a minute, and let me call you right back. And she did, and said, if you just drive down the street to this recording studio, Richard Perry, my boss, will meet you there in an hour or an hour and a half, whatever it was. And that's what we did. We drove down to the studio. We set up our equipment. We played for him, probably a set. And, the next week he got Mo Ostin to sign us sight unseen. Mo had never seen us. Mo was the president of Reprise Records. And it was partly because Richard had just had a massive hit with Tiptoe Through the Tulips, so he was a proven, hit maker, A, and B, because Tiny Tim was sort of a novelty, they assumed that Richard was bringing in another novelty act that would make it. And, of course, we turned out to be a novelty, but not a novelty, because we were serious musicians, so 4
Right.
albums later. And still now, 25 years later or whatever, we have proved that to the world.
You certainly have. You certainly.
Apparently.
Wow. And let's come all the way up to today. You're putting out a brand new album.
Yeah. Gene and I have a band called The Slammin' Babes.
Okay.
And we are working on an album here at the Institute for the Musical Arts, which I helped co-found. It's a nonprofit institute for women in music, which I helped found basically as a sort of a healing round, full circle kind of deal, because when we first started out, there was no place to get support or any mentoring or information. So I'm part of that. But also we have a recording studio here, so I get to teach. I get to pass on a lot of what I learned in the business, and I get to work in the studio. So I've been producing lots of albums by young women artists, and we've also been recording our own album here. And it's like a big thank you to the universe for giving me the opportunity to do that, which I love the most, which is music. And the Institute is a nonprofit 501c3, and it's going to be here certainly way after my lifetime, which feels great.